Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, episode 473. Jay and I today back on the topic of the NFL. We're going to be looking at the top free agents that the Los Angeles Chargers should pursue moving on from now. Of course, a lot of big free agents been signed here and there, but there's certainly some talented players left on the market. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into that, the question of the day: you Chargers love Joey Bosa, the 49ers love Nick Bosa, and I'm asking you guys, which brother would you rather have at defensive end on your team? Again, if you know, or comment your answer down below, and at the end of the video, Jay and I will talk about which Bosa brother we'd rather have. But Jay, tell me about some free agents left on the market that the Chargers should pursue.
Yeah, Chargers did do pretty well up to this point. Corey Linsley is a great addition to that offensive line. Jared Cook, we talked about him being a great mentor, a great red zone target. I think they've done pretty well up to then, but now there are still some guys left that they should be targeting. One big one to me is Richard Sherman. I know he's not the Seattle Seahawk he used to be. He might not even be the San Francisco 49er he used to be. He's coming off an injury. He is old, but the Chargers don't need a 24-year-old guy that can commit to their franchise for the next decade. Richard Sherman is a guy that has 1 to 2 years left, and the Chargers are in a win-now situation. All they need is an extra cornerback, and Richard Sherman could do that. The Chargers could seriously make a push this year. They don't need Richard Sherman in 5 years. They need him now, and I think Richard Sherman could still play now. And another one, if it weren't for Richard Sherman, Adoree Jackson is on the radar. That he was released by the Titans. He is talking to the Giants, so I think that's unrealistic. But Adoree Jackson is a guy that could commit to the Chargers for the next 5 years. He's young and athletic. However, he does have a downside in being injury prone, and that is the last thing the Chargers need. They have enough injury history with Derwin James, Chris Harris Jr., Joey Bosa even gets banged up a little bit. Offensive line gets banged up. Austin Eckler gets banged up. They don't need any other guys on that roster that is injury prone. And then another big name that I think they should be considering is possibly Jadeveon Clowney. Yes, similar situation, completely similar situation to Adoree Jackson. He's injured, but the name is there, the athleticism is there. He's never really lived up to his hype by any means, being number 1 overall, but he does have potential. He might be trying to look for a rebound, and I do think he is understanding that coming off the expectations that he never lived up to and coming off a season that he was injured with, he could be a fair value that the Chargers are worth intriguing, and it's at least worth looking at for Jadeveon Clowney. But to me, of those three, and I'll go into a few more later, Richard Sherman's the top guy.
Yeah, I do agree that Richard Sherman is the top guy. Covered the defense well. I do think Cook on the offensive side of the football was a good move. But looking at, you mentioned Jadeveon Clowney, yes, if you can get him for the right price, he's definitely not a guy that you want to put a lot into. Coming from a Texans fan, I do know what it's like for him to let down all the hype. He's good at that. So I want to look at some offensive side of the football guys. You mentioned the O-line. Getting Linsley, good move or great move. Abushi from the Lions, hopefully going to be really good with them. Bulaga's been there for who knows how long. He's been solid there, whatever. I do think they should look at maybe getting Mitchell Schwartz, the chief that they just released a couple weeks ago. I'm just assuming, or he's obviously a talented player, but coming from Kansas City, he's definitely a good pass protector, and he's just a versatile O-lineman that I think could help out their O-line in L.A. And I also want to look at running backs, specifically a true running the football running back. I like Leonard Fournette from Tampa Bay, not re-signed yet, and I do think that having a running back that is more of a straightforward runner, like Leonard Fournette is, just a downhill guy. He can run anybody over, as opposed to Eckler, who is good out of the backfield catching the football, but really doesn't run the ball that effectively. So I think picking up a guy such as Leonard Fournette, who can really run people over on the ground, would certainly help this Chargers team. And he did definitely increase his stock, so I'm not sure what that type of guy is worth. But, I mean, going from getting released by Jacksonville to really being a huge reason the Bucs won the Super Bowl, his price tag is definitely increasing, but I do think Leonard Fournette would be a good move for this team. And looking at receivers, another guy from Tampa Bay, I think Antonio Brown, another guy that I think this Chargers team could benefit from, because you're looking at a guy that is so good at getting separation in the red zone, which would help Herbert out a lot, especially with Jared Cook, who does the same thing. He's a big guy that can catch the ball inside the red zone, and it's just an extra guy that doesn't have to be on the field all the time. But when it comes down to needing a touchdown, needing somebody open, I think AB would be your guy.
Yeah, I think Leonard Fournette is pretty one-dimensional at the running back position, but I think that is a one dimension the Chargers don't have. I like Austin Eckler out of the backfield. I like him making scrambles, but pushing the pile and going up for a straight truck, that's a Leonard Fournette job. And I don't think the Chargers are in the necessity. They're not staring at Leonard Fournette, but I do think they should consider it. AB as well. If you have a Justin Herbert quarterback throwing to a Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Antonio Brown, and Jared Cook, that is an amazing offense and receiving core. But again, I don't know the Chargers, what they're looking at. Tom Telesco, I feel like with them getting Brandon Staley in, we know he has insight on Herbert, but he's still a defensive guy, and I still think they're looking at the defense. Another Tampa guy I'd love to see them look at, Ndamukong Suh, help out Joey Bosa. The man gets double team, he gets triple team, and not that Suh is really a sack leader by any means, but he's another guy that could take up two guys for him to body, and then you got two guys in your offensive line or defensive line that are really getting guarded by four guys, and that opens up the pass rush a lot. And Ndamukong Suh, like I said, not a sack guy, but he is a run stopper. I definitely think they could look at considering him. He's a guy that can still play 2 to 3 years, and I think he's looking to commit to a team that is not just on a 1-year deal. I don't know if the Chargers should offer him a bunch of money, but I think a 2-year, $10 million deal isn't like out of the ordinary to offer Ndamukong Suh by any means. Another couple guys, Justin Houston from Indianapolis and Carlos Dunlap from Seattle. Carlos Dunlap was released, but he was an immediate effect on the Seattle Seahawks. That kind of helped him out last year. Ending up in the postseason, the final result was not great, but both of these guys, Dunlap and Houston, ended their career. But like I said, similar situation as Richard Sherman. Excuse me. Both of these guys ended their career, but the Chargers are in such a win-now situation. All they're asking is one more year out of these veteran-type players that have a little bit left. And looking at the younger side, and furthermore on the defense, I like Malik Hooker, a safety from the Colts. He's actually younger, 25 years old. He's going to be he is a free agent. And Kareem Jackson from the Denver Broncos. I'm not sure he's going to go to a division rivalry, but both of those guys can help out that secondary, and Derwin James not be the sole proprietor of captaining that defense. You got an extra safety that can help him out.
Yeah, you're talking Brandon Staley looking defensively. Also, I'm looking at Justin Houston from Indianapolis, a guy that could certainly help. Like Jay said, a guy that you're not looking for anything long-term out of, maybe 1 or 2 years. I mean, his veteran presence on defense would certainly help, especially line up on that end opposite of Joey Bosa, who is obviously one of the, if not the best end in football. So there's plenty of names, but like Jay said, I think Richard Sherman's one of the biggest ones to help out that secondary, and then I think Justin Houston would help this Chargers team out a lot as well.
Yeah, and one guy that the Chargers have lost is Melvin Ingram, yet he hasn't been signed yet, and he was a big pass rusher in his prime with the Chargers. I know he's getting older, and he might be wanting too much, but the longer he is on the free agent market, the more realization that may come to his mind that maybe he should take a lesser price and maybe he should come back to a team that he's very aware of. But another receiver, such as the Antonio Brown, is, like I said earlier, T.Y. Hilton. I just think the Chargers don't absolutely need a receiver, but if they added one, this would really put a cherry on top of their offense that they are going to go to the next level, and Herbert's going to be not even a top 10 quarterback. He could go to top 5. That's a bold prediction, but if you give him one of the better receivers in the NFL, it could definitely happen.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Something about T.Y. Hilton anywhere other than Indianapolis, though, doesn't sit right with me. So I am hanging on to hope that the Colts re-sign him for whatever reason. But that's all we got to talk about as far as free agents, guys. We want to hear in the comments what you think about Chargers and who they should pursue free agent-wise. But as far as our question today, Jay, which Bosa brother are you taking?
Personally, just as of right now, I would have to go with Nick Bosa because he's still on a young rookie contract. He's affordable. We can see what he's got. Joey Bosa, you're already paying him the highest defensive end in the league. And while he deserves that, I'm going to go with Nick Bosa, who's a similar talent for a cheaper cost. I'm
going to go Joey Bosa. He's proven he can do it for a longer time. He is the older brother of the two. And as of right now, he's healthier than Nick Bosa is. Nick Bosa coming off of an injury. Hopefully he does recover all the way. But I'm going to go Joey Bosa. Guys, thanks for watching. 2 Minute Warning.